So today, we're going to build out this entire island, create a much better connection into the city, and turn this whole area into something worth seeing the second you drive in. Let's jump in. So we're going to start with the outside connection, the bridge, and then the main arterial. Before that, in our commercial taxation, we're going to increase lodging up to 30%. That's because hotels can and will break demand. Let's start by deleting the bridge, and most cars just disappear. The other half just start floating over to the road. I don't understand why they're stopping. It's almost like they're treating it like a traffic light. Now we're going to use the bridge expansion pack. I'm going to use the 6-lane 2-way suspension bridge. Let's turn off snap to zoning cell length. And the reason we do that is so we can get directly into the middle of this road. We need to increase our elevation to 20 meters. And on the edge of our water, we're going to pull our bridge all the way down. And 80 units gives us roughly 2 pillars that look like they're equal. Now let's delete this road here, because we're going to replace it with a 6-lane 2-way highway. And I know that's a bit intense. The only reason why we're going with a 6-lane bridge is because in the future, I can see this area being way more dense. So we might want to build an interchange into this area. And I'd rather think about that stuff up front. We're going to have to clean this intersection up. I'm going to reset it to vanilla and then remove unsafe. Now we definitely don't want 2 left turning lanes and only 1 forward lane. In fact, we wouldn't even want it in this configuration. We definitely want something more like this. Even with that improvement, we still want to provide 4 lanes here. And there's a weird snapping issue. So I'm going to turn off snap to existing geometry. And that's not going to work. So we are just going to remake this connection instead. And until we see the demand for it, we're going to remove this turn. That's going to help this right turn be more safe, even when it's a red light. I'm going to consider this good enough because we're going to move on to the next side. We need to make our descent with our bridge, so let's delete this section. We had an 8% grade on the other side, which means if we get an 8% here, it should be roughly equal. I think this is probably the best bridge that I've ever created. Now everything beyond this point is going to be upgraded into a 4-lane. As a part of this project, I am going to rework the angle. Even though this isn't a major highway or an interstate, we still have 1, 2, 3 90-degree angle turns, and we can definitely fix this. So let's upgrade this road. And now we're going to want to extend it out. Let's also upgrade this section. Now let's try and get a nice gentle curve. And that right there is pretty solid. All we have to do is finish off our upgrade. It's going to break some of these rocks, which means we're going to have to come back and fix that later on. And you love to see it. Thomas is wretched. He's retired and he's a senior. I feel for you, Thomas. I really do. Let's remove all the rocks here. And we're also going to flatten this out. It was used for the road and we don't need it anymore. So what we have now is our main arterial cutting through the island. But what we need is a road that's going to distribute traffic throughout the area. And with our 4-lane road, we're going to send this all the way up. And we're also going to send this all the way down. I want to get really close to the shore here. Let's flatten this out. And this is going to matter in a bit, but we'll get to that. Now, when I look at the main road that's running through this island, I see a really big opportunity. So at the moment, there is no way to get to this island. Even though we don't need it right now, I want to provide access because this is going to be the best opportunity to do so. We're going to use the 4-lane drawbridge. We'll set our elevation to 10 meters. That's going to help us reduce the cost of this bridge. And because it's a drawbridge, once we have some ships running through here, it's going to open up. I honestly can't wait to see that. I haven't had a chance to use these yet. Now, of course, we're going to connect our drawbridge into our 4-lane road. So we're going to start by dropping this down. Let's aim for 8 to 7%. We're going to pull it all the way out until right here and make a super nice clean connection into our 4-lane. I absolutely love this because it gives this road more purpose than just distributing traffic within the peninsula. Plus, it just makes things a little bit more unique and varied, which is always a big win. We have these key wall roads, and I love them, but none of my maps have been deep enough to use them. And thankfully, this map is. I only want these roads to wrap around this bottom half side, and we're gonna end it right here, because we're gonna do something else with this, but also because I really don't like the idea of having this entire island be covered in quay walls. We're gonna have to fix the terrain here, but before that, I want to change these corners. Now let's add the key wall on the right side of this road, and we'll do the same thing down here. Now we're going to use a normal 2-lane road. I want to make sure the key wall is off, and we're going to curve away from the water. Let's add a cul-de-sac, and we'll come back and figure this area out in a second. Let's check over here. And now I want to go through and just pull all this back until it's roughly equal to where the key wall is. Now we have the bridge done, the arterial, the collectors, and our key wall, which is going to essentially function as a ring road. Now it's time to get to work on some of our focal points. And I was really hoping we would have had more money before this. We have Oracle Park. It costs $800K. The Anfield Stadium, which costs $750K. And there was a few more that I wanted to place down, but I didn't realize we were going to break the bank just by placing these two. I'm going to start with Oracle Park because it's got to be my favorite, and I see two potential placements for it, either on the right side or on the left side. What I like about the left side is that when this area is more dense, this asset is going to be facing towards it. Temporarily, I'm going to place that in right there, and that gives us milestone 8, $200,000. Thank you, we need it. Along with a bunch of apartment buildings. I want to rotate this around. We want the seats to be fronting the water. And I think the only way we make this work is by chopping off this key wall for now and rotating the asset so that these doors are essentially the key wall, which means this is going to transition from road to pedestrian path. Let's snap onto the side, and I want to get this directly in the middle. So temporarily, I'm going to commit some atrocities. There we go. That's looking really, really good. I like that. On this side, we're going to flatten everything out because it's going to make it a billion times easier. We'll snap onto the side of the building, get that connected in and reversed. Now let's level this all. And it seems like we're still slightly too high here. I think that's because the building itself is forcing the ground to be this high. Yeah, we can see that once we pull it back, that fixes the weird terrain issue. I'm actually fine with it though, because we can just layer this entire section with rocks rather than pull the building back, although we definitely will have to fix this. Alright, now this building is going to need a road connection, so let's snap directly to the side. And now I just want to curve these two roads into each other. And what is it with the jank intersections lately? For a tourist attraction as big as this one though, I genuinely don't think that 2 lanes is going to be enough. There is going to be so many people here. Let's grab a wide pavement path, and I want to wrap it around the side of this building. We're not going to provide any parking. Before we go any further, let's solve the utility problem. To import water, it costs us $10,624 every single month. That's honestly really cheap. We make $43,000 by charging our citizens. But we're surrounded by water, and it doesn't realistically make sense to import our water from a different city. The groundwater pumping station is $5,000 per month, and I believe once we factor in the costs for hiring someone, it's going to end up being more expensive. But at the same time, it's also going to be way more realistic. Let's level this out a bit. Now all we have to do is make a clean connection into our main road. I don't know what this grid is going to look like yet, so for the meantime, I'm just going to do something like that. We only have one power line coming into our city, and we're definitely not ready to build our own power solution yet. So what we're going to do instead is send this transformer line all the way down. As we get closer to the water, we're going to go underground, we'll send it straight across, and build a substation right here underneath this bridge. For sewage, we're just going to fix this connection so that it goes into the road. This also means we should be exporting water now. We're currently exporting $607 of water. With money like that, we're going to be rich. And now that all of our utilities are done, I want to focus on Oracle Park again. And I want this space to feel really nice, really premium, somewhere you can go and walk after the game. Or maybe you just live over here and you like the scenic views or something. It doesn't matter what it is, but I want it to feel special. We have this city park, and it has a small bookstore. We're going to place that in right on this corner. I want to take a wide pavement path. We're going to wrap it around the outside of the building. This acts as a natural barrier, but also allows us to do something interesting. We'll get to that in a second. We'll need one more connection down here. It doesn't really matter where. I'm going to select the continuous curve tool, and all I want to do is make a circle. We'll use move it and select all of these nodes. I want to position this somewhere in the center. Now I'll use a smaller pavement path, and I just want to get this connected in. And we'll make sure that this extends to the waterfront. Before we do anything else, we are going to take one of these British surfaces, and with the area bucket, we are just going to copy this in. For the smaller paths, we're going to use a different design. And that looks pretty bad. So I'm going to quickly go through and clean all of this up. Much better, but it's still missing two things. We need some type of centerpiece. If we take this fountain and place it right in the middle, with circle radius tool, we'll expand that out. And yeah, I really don't know about this. The next step was to add a fountain in the middle, but we don't have enough room, which honestly makes this easier. Let's place this one in and delete the rest. In the center, we're gonna have the same surface as our path. There is one important thing that's gonna change this from mediocre to significantly better. We're gonna use the vanilla curb net lane. And I just want you to burn this image into your brain for a second. This is what it looks like without a net lane. And this is what it looks like with one. But it doesn't feel so flat, and it gives it a bit of life. So I'm gonna go through and place all of these net lanes in. You can't even tell when you look this far away, but once you get a little bit closer, you can see that it really makes the difference. But it also takes so much time, it really has to be one of those special areas. All we're gonna do to finish this off is add in a few trees. And then on this side, I was really hoping that we could add some commercial down here, but I guarantee you, we only have demand for gas stations. So we'll hold off on that, and again, add in some more trees. And I think for the park beside Oracle Park, that is going to do amazingly. But we still need a little bit more development to actually start justifying this. And we're also going to need services. Let's start by creating a district for this area. We need to buy this tile. I honestly don't know how I forgot. It's not going to cost us anything because we still haven't used our full tile yet. But now you can see that any more tiles we buy, they're going to start costing us money. I usually like to get the grid built out before adding in the services. But in this case, I'm going to assume that this stadium can hold thousands of people. So getting basic services close to this building is going to be important. I want to position them further away from this intersection. We want to reduce the amount of traffic that's going to be going through here. What that means is we're going to place that somewhere around this vicinity. In fact, if we can get a road through here without anarchy, which we can, what about down here? We can as well. That's going to be really good. So roughly right here in the middle, we're going to send that up a bit. Now I want to turn anarchy off and curve underneath, and that's perfect. I could actually see this being kind of a sketchy place. Now I'm going to continue this straight for a little bit longer, and I see that we have some pesky lights and a pesky crosswalk. And in terms of medical care, I do want to go with something that has a bit more capacity, mostly because I'm going to make this area pretty dense. And I like this one because it feels like a small hospital, or maybe even an office. I'm going to use this version that doesn't have any trees, because I'll place in the trees myself. And we want to get this close to the bridge, but not too close, because we need to add some parking in. We'll snap an alley across the front, and now we're going to need some parking back here. I'm going to place that right there so I can take a look and see where the pillars are. And actually, it's not that bad, although I think we are missing a pillar somewhere around here. Let's give this bridge a little bit more support. I can't add another pillar beyond this one, so we'll do that. And instead of trying to fight with this for perfect placement, I'm going to pull the building closer to the bridge. So I decided to rework it a little bit because I was just making it overly complex. There is one important consideration. I don't want the parking lot attached to this road. That's because as an ambulance, you need clear access to this road without being impeded. So we will give access to this entry point, but we're going to end it right there. I want the ambulances to have even more access. Now let's add in this invisible path. It has 2 lanes, and it's 2 ways. Next up, we're going to use the France crematorium, only because it's the cheapest. So we'll add in a small little access road right here for the crematorium. We're not going to connect that road into the hospital, but we will do something like that. Now let's waste some of our beautiful waterfront with parking. And then we'll make sure to set this to only operate in this district. For fire services, I would expect this building to have some on-site fire, and I don't want to bundle any more of our services together. So let's extend this alleyway and connect it all the way into our 4-lane. And then we'll branch off an alleyway right here. Temporarily, we're going to place that on this road. Now we're going to use the double public transport lane because it is meant for transit, emergency vehicles, and turning traffic. And I'm going to work on this layout really quickly because it's definitely not optimal. In a perfect ideal City Skylines 2 world, this road would only be for emergency service. There would also be a light here that forces all traffic to yield to the fire trucks. We don't have that in game, so I've improvised a bit. I want to place down some of these signature residential buildings first. That way we can build the grid around the buildings rather than the buildings around the grid. I really want the placement of these buildings to feel a bit organic. So I'm just going to start by placing a few of these in. And then I just want to move them around until I get something a bit interesting. Now we're going to need to provide some access roads. And something like that should do really well. Let's slap a big old parking lot right in the middle. The interesting thing about these buildings is that they do have pedestrian access on both sides, which means we're definitely going to take a wide pavement path and connect all of these in. And yeah, I really like the way that looks. The next special building that I want to work in is the Korean slab type apartment. And I really love the transition from higher density to something a bit more small. I want to align these buildings with our bridge, and they're roughly about 4 units deep. I also want some of the buildings to have their back fronting our main road. And I think that's going to be all of our special buildings, so let's get a few parking lots in. Now we're going to build out 2 different grids. On this side, it's going to be a bit more compact and a bit more grid-like, but on this side over here, it'll be a bit more loosey-goosey because I want most of this side to feel like a continuation of our park rather than just a bunch of dense development. So I'm going to quickly build out our grid here. All right, now let me explain a few things. Right here, it's going to be somewhat of a park, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized there would definitely be a bunch of rich people living in this area. This is going to be super high-end row homes or low-density residential, but that doesn't mean we can't run a few paths through here and really make this stand out. I want this to be a giant park, or at the very least some type of nature preserve, so this will be mostly trees and a few paths. In this giant center here, again, I want a big old park. This island should feel special. It shouldn't feel like it's just crammed to maximize development and density, especially because with Oracle Park here, it's going to be a tourist hotspot. The rest is going to be a mix of office, commercial, and medium density development. Also, I'm noticing that we have quite a bit of traffic backing up. At first I thought maybe it was just the people who were moving in, but it seems to be persistent beyond that. So before we do any more zoning, I'm going to implement a quick fix, and we're going to start by moving these buildings over. Now let's grab a one-way, and from this point, we're going to curve in and connect that into our bridge. Let's remove the lights here and the crosswalk, and now we're going to ban this right turn. We're going to do something similar on this side, but I honestly can't stand that there are cars parking here. So let's get some grass on there to fix that up. And this one's going to be a bit more tricky. We might have to relocate that building. I'm going to start right here. We'll do a nice gentle curve. And to get that connected in, we're going to have to break our parking. So again, temporarily, I'm going to move that over here. Now let's reverse the direction. And we'll also fix this. We don't want a right turn here anymore. your only options are to go forward or to turn left. Let's remove the lights here, and we're going to remove unsafe along with this left-hand turn. Then lastly, we're going to upgrade this to be a 3-lane asymmetric, and I don't think there's any way that we get this parking back in without completely breaking things, so we're going to delete it, and we'll add in something a bit more modest like this. Now here's hoping that works. If it doesn't, we'll go to my fallback solution, which is to send this bridge all the way through, and then we'll have a small interchange here. Either way, let's do a little bit of zoning. We have a good amount of demand for medium density. We have local demand for commercial, so that's amazing. Let's start with some commercial. I really love the North American low-density waterfront business, so let's go 3 deep here. Let's remove the zoning from these side streets, and just zone the entire thing in and see what pops up. Pharmaceuticals, and more recreation. Amazing. One more important thing, I want the buildings to be fronting this side of the street, because I don't want to block the view of our water with buildings. Now, because there's more private motoring, we have a higher gas station demand, and we're going to use the one-stop station in order to satisfy some of that demand. This is definitely not going to go on our waterfront, but we will have it closer to our hotels, or sorry, the residential. Now let's fill in this spot here. I'd really love for these buildings to feel like they're accessible from the path. And I'm getting lost in the detailing sauce. One of the buildings didn't fill in, so I replaced it with a static ploppable. The only thing we have demand for is medium density residential, so I'm going to go through and plop a bunch of that in, and from here on out, I am going to set plop the growables to lock all buildings. That's because I really care about the heights on the waterfront road. I don't want anything too tall. One thing we'll do before moving on is change all of these colors to be something a bit more vibrant and bright. Let's get a nice orange on this one. And then on this one, let's go for a nice blue. And that just pops so much more. It feels a lot more like a waterfront. For these 5 plots, let's go something a bit more dense than our Netherlands. And we are completely out of medium density demand, so let's move on to some low density residential. And I want these to feel a bit different than anything else in the city. So we are going to use the French residential. Let's set these to be as big as possible, and that allows us to get 4x4s. I'll give random amounts of setback to each of these houses to vary it up a bit. As I'm plopping, I'm going to add in some paths. Now this area would be mostly for rich seniors, but that doesn't mean tourists aren't going to walk through, and that also doesn't mean that these people wouldn't want some type of park. So let's add the Pavilion restaurant right in the middle, some corridor parks right on the side of it, a few benches right here, a few places to sit, grab some food. If we're lucky, we can take all of these and just pull them back, and they'll still be connected, and it seems like they are. Amazing. The surface on this one is broken, so let's replace it to fix it. And we'll extend all of this out, and we'll make sure to get this path connected in. Now for the rest, we are just going to connect everything up with a path, add some trees, and we'll call it a day. We're going to continue adding in some more medium density alongside these plots, but I want to rethink the fire department because I just think this was a silly decision. I'm going to move it to the corner of this road. And now we can delete all of this, and that really simplifies this intersection and probably helps a tiny bit with traffic. Let's finish zoning the rest of this out with medium density. I'm taking a pause because the medium density residential demand keeps fighting with me. There's 2 things I want to check in on. First, we have a plus for our happiness, so let's quickly take a look and see what is going on to influence that. We have spacious homes, abundance of entertainment, everyone's super wealthy, But we have a high crime risk, unreliable mail service, unreliable internet service, unemployment, and traffic. Let's take a look at what our unemployment is, and it is 16.6%. Wow. We have some office demand, so let's just use it. We haven't unlocked high density office yet, which means we're going to have to rely primarily on the southwestern and the vanilla low density offices. I'm going to position most of that on this waterfront down here. I want to remove all the zoning from the side streets and then let this go crazy. I'm sure it's not going to be awful. While that's filling in, let's figure out high crime risk. And yeah, down here it's awful. And that makes sense. I completely forgot to add in a police station, which is what happens when you get lost in the sauce. I really like the Mediterranean police station, so right beside these commercial businesses, let's get this added in, and that gives us milestone 9. We are now a great town, 225,000. Nothing else matters except for that. We've officially unlocked Barnes & Noble, and everything else we're just gonna ignore. And I accidentally placed 3 of these buildings. I just love wasting money. Let's set this to operate in this district only, and now that should solve our crime on that side. On this side it seems fine. We just need to add in our districts. Now we should have excellent coverage everywhere. The next thing we can influence is mail service. I've been trying really hard not to spend money. This historical post office is 500,000. It's the building that I want to place, but I also don't want to ruin our budget. So we'll just go with a small post office. And I want to make good use of our space, so we're going to do something a little bit different. The upgrade is fairly cheap, so I'm going to add it on, and we'll set it to only operate in this district. And now we'll place in a few mailboxes, and when we check our coverage, it's all green. Let's do the exact same thing down here, and we have this empty plot, which is perfect. Again, we're going to add on that upgrade, set this to only operate in the farms, and then these two. And for the last few districts, we're going to place another post office right in this empty spot. We'll give it the upgrade, and we'll assign it to these districts here. All we need are a few more mailboxes. Even after all of those services, we still seem to be in a really good place. So let's go unlock the telecom tower. We're going to need one over here, and then one on the island. We should have a place with trees. Perfect. And that's pretty solid. Once we add the second one over here, we've almost covered the entire map. Temporarily, I'm going to place that right there. We'll push it all the way back, and then we'll use a one-way alley to create a looping pattern. And let's put a park in the middle of it. Why not? The only other issue is unemployment and traffic. Traffic's an easy one. Unemployment is going to be slightly tricky for 2 reasons. We need commercial and office demand in order to solve it in an area like this. Similar story here. And I figured in the next one, this is when we'd fill out the industrial sector. So for the time being, I'm not going to worry about it, and let's finish zoning out this district. Let's place the Mediterranean Elementary School right here. And honestly, I really love the Mediterranean High School too. So maybe this section was inspired by Mediterranean style. We'll set both of these to only operate in this district. And now we are pretty much broke. I want to start moving a bit quicker here. So I'm going to use the France residential low. We're going to remove the zoning from all of these side streets, and we're going to zone this entire thing. Same thing right here and here. I know everything's looking a little bit crazy right now, but once we're done detailing, everything is going to feel way better. We do have warehouse availability, so let's make a small little warehouse sector. And because I'm going to detail this, I will set it to be level 5. We'll give a good amount of separation from these homes, and we'll just get a few of these in. On the other side, we'll add in a little bit of parking, one cul-de-sac there. Now we're going to need a big, thick, dense row of trees right behind these people's houses. And they are already complaining of noise pollution. It's not like this is completely unrealistic. So I'm sorry to this person, you're gonna have to live with it or leave. And given that the wind blows this way, we could have a small amount of industrial right here. And this is just absolutely bonkers. Where are all these people going? they're going to Dixfield, and instead of driving, they're going to walk on the highway. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I don't want to overreact to this, but I am going to react. Let's add in a free-flowing right-hand turn. Then we're going to remove this right turn. And to make this as smooth as possible, we will upgrade this to be a 5-lane asymmetric. And then we just need to manipulate these nodes a little bit. Remove the U-turns here and the unsafe, and do the exact same thing with this crazy junction. We're going to upgrade this section to be a 3-lane asymmetrical. That's where I'm going to stop messing with traffic for a bit, because I want to do one last final thing before we go into detailing. We're going to build out this park area. And already I kind of want to get distracted for a second. The sports park complex is massive, but I also think it's a pretty good fit for right here. It would not only be a great amenity for everyone in this area, but also the tourists and the people who live over here. Anyways, back to the park. We're slowly running out of money, so I'm going to keep this pretty simple. We'll have one color plaza, a hilly playground, a dog park, a parkside cafe, another one of those pavilion restaurants that we placed earlier, and there goes all of our money, which means the rest of this park is just going to be freestyle. Oak Brook has 2,900 households, 5,325 residents. The average wealth is poor, but I have faith. Eventually, this is going to be our wealthiest district ever. Now, there is already a whole bunch of detailing to do, and I'm going to include 2 extra things. It'll be parking and more plopping if necessary. So with all of that said, let's jump into detailing. And after 2 hours of detailing, it is finally done. I'm ready to call it. I don't want to do any more. We should definitely do a stream sometime and clean up some of these areas, but overall, I think it turned out really nicely. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Today's shoutouts go to Jake Hill, Gary Key, Michael Mills, Deku, Middleveen, Evan Aird, Henry Volpel, Justin, and to everyone else. I cannot say thank you enough. For sneak peeks, save files, and much more, you can join us over on Patreon or YouTube. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one.